What's up, everyone? Welcome to another week of What You're Missing. And you may notice right off the bat that there's a whole lot of light coming from over here. And that's because it's actually daytime when I'm recording this, and I'm doing this now, and I'm not wearing a nice shirt because there is a puppy that is tethered to my leg right now, and she is sleeping. So I feel like I should take whatever opportunity I can to jump and yeah, make the best of my time when I'm not being plagued or watching to make sure that none of my stuff gets destroyed. So, uh, along those lines, last week somebody who saw the saw the show told me that I needed a haircut, and you're right, I do. It is, as she said, a little fluffy. So I've scheduled a haircut for Thursday, and yeah, next next week there will be less fluff, hopefully, and a better style. So. Along those lines, feel free to send in whatever comments you have, either by email or in the comments on the blog or on the comments on YouTube or wherever it is that you might see this. Now, some of you may have the thought that I need a sandwich and that's the comment that you want to give to me, and that maybe I should eat more, put on some weight, bulk up. So that sort of commentary, while entertaining, is not necessarily good, and honestly, there aren't enough sandwiches in the world to make me gain weight. So in the way that Game Over Greggy has Team Fat, I have Team Thin, and we'll leave it at that. So to jump into the news for last week, now there are only like 3 or 4 items that jumped out at me, and uh, I'll go through them, but yeah, this week and maybe next week will be a little bit light just because of yeah, and my inability to sit for any long period of time at the computer. So bear with me. So the first item in the news is that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare apparently has been working on the story for this game for 2.5 years. I think some writer came out and said that for literally for the last 2.5 years he's been working on the story behind this new game, which is remarkable because having played Black Ops 2, the story is by far not something that anybody looks like they spent more than 2 hours on. And in general, this whole genre of games, many of them don't even have a story or a campaign mode. And the list of people that play the game for the single player mode is exceedingly small. So this may be, I mean, clearly they're trying to rebrand themselves and take the game in a slightly different direction and differentiate themselves somehow. But my interpretation of it is that you're trying to put lipstick on a pig, so stick with what you're good at, which is pew pew, and avoid trying to get involved in story-driven anything because nobody cares. All right. Next on the list is Nike. Now, Nike apparently they've developed a shoe with LeBron James, who he's kind of a cocky prick if you don't know much about him. And he, among other basketball players, have been saying that he thinks that he is better than Michael Jordan was. So, I don't know. People are stupid. But this guy in particular, so he worked with Nike to develop a shoe, which is the funkiest shoe that you will ever see in your life. It's like a combination of what looks to be red leather, maybe even felt, and tiger print. So, and then he's got his signature on the sole of the shoe. So, by far the ugliest shoe I've ever seen. And I used to work in a shoe store, so I kind of know what I'm talking about there. But so here's the deal. So you can't just run out and buy this LeBron James shoe if you want it. I don't know why you would, but let's say you do, hypothetically. You would have to go through a series of events in NBA 2K14 totaling that would require a total of about 80 hours worth of gameplay. You have to do like 60 career games. You have to design a shoe in the game with the Nike thing, and there's a few other things. And so in total, you have to put in 80 hours basically to become eligible to pre-order one of these special edition, limited edition LeBron James fugly shoes. And there are only 2014 being made. Get it? 2014, 2K14, 2014. Get it? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So they're making 2014 butt fugly shoes to sell at $220 a pop to people who have played the game a lot and want fugly shoes to play basketball in real life, which maybe many people don't do. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see if that works, and yeah, I guess more on that later. If they actually are able to sell 2,000 shoes, who knows? So the next item is sort of an all-encompassing. Let's talk about Xbox for a little bit. So up until very recently, Netflix, Hulu, and other applications that require an internet connection all required you to have Xbox Live Gold, which is an additional membership or subscription to Xbox. And so you're paying for Netflix, but in order to use that Netflix subscription, you have to pay for Xbox Live in order to watch it using your Xbox, which is exceedingly stupid because, I mean, basically as a console creator, you want everyone to use your device. It doesn't matter almost what they use it for. It could be as a doorstop, a display piece. If they're playing games with it and using it for what you made it for, fantastic. But if they're not, okay, as long as they're using it, you're making money off of them because you're selling them peripherals, you're selling them games, or even accessories like cameras or the Kinect, which we'll get to in a second. So it's stupid to put up a barrier between your customers and something they want to use when they can access that very same thing on almost every other device they have in their house with a power plug on it, including their phone, their Comcast box, the DVD player, their laptop, almost anything, right? You get Rokus, Apple TVs, your PS4. So as Microsoft, this is a stupid idea. So up until now, that's been the way of things. You want to watch Netflix, you got to pay to watch what you're paying for already, and that you could just switch to another device to use. So Microsoft came out recently and said, hey, we're not going to require that anymore. We're going to allow applications to, like Netflix and Hulu, to use the internet without a required Xbox Live Gold, Xbox Gold Live, whatever, Live Gold, yeah. So clearly I don't have an Xbox. Clearly I don't really ascribe to their philosophies, but that's what they came out and announced. Now, along with that, MMOs and even free-to-play games are still going to require that you go through Xbox Live. So basically, this is a fantastic example of how Microsoft just doesn't get it. I mean, how stupid you have to be to charge people to play something that they are already paying to play after they've bought it. So you're insisting that they add a third round of purchasing or expenditure to something that, yeah, it's very stupid. So first I'd say you should go on the PS4 because they don't require that sort of horseshit, but let's be real. PlayStation isn't a whole lot better in the sense that with PlayStation Plus, if they really wanted to, they could pull the horseshit that they did with Music Unlimited and Pandora and Spotify. You'll notice that Pandora and Spotify are not on your PlayStation. And those are the two probably most popular music streaming applications or tools that people have. And the only reason that they're not being able to use to have those on the PlayStation ecosystem is because Sony doesn't want to stand in the way of Music Unlimited. So if you want to subject yourself to that kind of thinking, you're one bad decision away on Sony's side from being in the same position as the jokers that buy and use Xbox. So think about that. So the real solution here is to play your games on a PC and join the master PC gaming race. But that's I'm a little biased because I do most of my gaming on the PC. But there you have it. So if somebody wants to charge you for Netflix above and beyond what Netflix is charging you for Netflix, I would say you should dump that company or that service as fast as you can. I mean, this is basically like what AOL has perfected, which is to say you can get your internet however you like, but if you want to use AOL's email, or if you had originally used AOL, I don't know why you would have, even in the very beginning, you're going to have to use it using their shitty shell. You're going to have to use their browser. You're going to have to like open up AOL as though it itself were the internet. I hate to break it to you, AOL is not the internet. If you haven't seen it, go and look at the website is down.com, just all one word, spell it out. And I think it's web guy versus sales guy or something, but check out that video. It's fucking hilarious. Um, Grandpa, if you're watching this, I know that you use AOL, but you're 95, so you get an out, and I love you. All right. Along with the whole Xbox Live thing, Microsoft announced this week that they are going to be selling a SKU of the Xbox One in June, I think it is, without the Kinect. So they've been riding this pony since the very beginning when they announced Xbox One, saying that the Kinect was the greatest thing since blowjobs and sliced bread. But they've had to rearrange their strategy somewhat and acknowledge that, okay, people are not really excited about being forced to pay $100 more for something that they don't really want. And if they're paranoid, they're already scared that people are listening in on their conversations. So adding an always-on camera and microphone to their living room is probably not going to help assuage things, especially coming from a company like Microsoft, which has already openly given up their users' information and email to the government. So I'll let you think about that as you will, but they're going to be selling a $399 or a $400 SKU of Xbox One without the Kinect. What does this mean for the Xbox ecosystem and their OS? Well, they're going to have to change some things because they had already so strongly committed to the idea that everyone would have this. They've got the whole voice controlled thing with the Kinect and ways of navigating in their user interface. All of that needs to change. So I mean, it's good that they're starting to learn and modify so they don't fall even further behind, but it seems like they're doing this way too late after the fact and that they're really not learning the lesson that they need to learn. So I don't know. But anyway, so that's Microsoft and that's this week's news. That's what's jumped out at me anyway. So if you have any comments or you feel like I missed a really important story, by all means leave it in the comments below. And one other thing, if you get a kick out of what I'm doing, or if you think that I will turn into something that you might get a kick out of, you should tell your friends. You should tell your friends to tell your friends. And as this gets bigger and gets more users and such, the overall scope will become more refined and it'll probably be more enjoyable. So you need to tell people about this if you enjoy it. And I will try to do the same, and we'll get this ball rolling. All right? So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. If you don't see me tomorrow, you should be tuning in on Tuesdays for what I played, because those are highly entertaining as well. And definitely follow me on Twitch, because you get to see some of the Let's Plays that I do with a good friend of mine. He's on Twitter now. He's blocked. He's on a locked account because, you know, I don't even know why. But his handle is at exasperate. There's no .com because he's on Twitter, and that's not how it works. So bear with me. All right, that's it for today, and tune in for part 2 tomorrow. Thanks a lot.